Saludos and salutations, Broncos Country, and welcome back into another exciting episode of Broncos Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I are so excited for today's episode. We are going to be talking about the future division champs. Oh my God, I'm telling you, I just had like a brainstorm when I had this idea earlier. Basically, we are going to try to figure out how close are the Denver Broncos to taking the division, or have they done so already with all the moves that they've made in free agency and in the draft? Ladies and gentlemen, this is an episode you do not want to miss. So please make sure you have your food warm, your drinks cold, make sure you're comfortable because you don't want to miss a single part of today's episode. And of course, we have your favorite segment, Broncos Overtime, at the end. Oh my God, I am so excited. I can't finish the top. But ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, get ready because here, actually, before we get to the tagline of today's show, I just want to say that, Libre and I come here to you guys every single Wednesday and Fridays on Spanish for Viva los Broncos. And we like to think that we put on an excellent show for you guys and everyone out there in Broncos Country watching and listening to us. We love your support. We thank you so much for it. Just want you to remind you guys and let you guys know that while Libre and I always make sure to bring you the boom, ladies and gentlemen, without a shadow of a doubt, never, ever forget that we here on Broncos Talk, Libre and I, are always going to bring you guys the thunder. And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adan Diaz, and joining me to my left or my right, depending on which direction you are watching us, is my co-host, Bronco Libre. Libre, how you doing tonight, my brother?
What's happening? Why did you mute me, bud? Come on.
That wasn't me, bro. That wasn't me. I was too busy laughing during
That's
the
funny.
intro video.
No, you know what? Like, it's finally Wednesday. It's hump day.
Yes, it is hump day. Not a lot of people are going to remember that commercial, but that was one of my favorite Geico commercials.
Heck yeah.
Mike.
What day is it? Hump day.
Hump day.
Heck yeah. I still say that in the office too, man. It's and you know what I love about it is because I break up the week, especially because we work in a high stress, high volume, dealing with multi-million-dollar transactions each week and whatnot. And I just go in there and like to have a good time, always breaking it up, making people laugh, And when some people actually come up to me saying, hey, thanks for doing that. Thanks for bringing that light, because sometimes you just need that, especially with the high stress that we're dealing with throughout the week. And I'm like, hey, that's why they hired me. I go, I don't need to do anything else besides that. Let's go.
Exactly, my friend. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another action-packed episode of Broncos Talk. If you guys missed our episode last week, it was our super mega awesome, stupendous, great Johnny and Isaiah super mega show. It was so awesome. We had so much fun. I think Libre and I made history by being on here for that amount of time and not having to go to the bathroom.
Well, not me, at least. That's a good thing for you.
So I think that was an achievement in itself. But if you guys missed it, after you guys get done watching this episode, please go back and watch it. Let us know what you thought about it in the comments, especially Johnny, because Johnny was late and he missed a lot of it. So we had to kind of go back. I mean, it was great. Shout out to Johnny and shout out to Fanatic Dak for being such great sports and being with us. on the air for that long amount of time. Plus, it was also great to hang out with Fanatic Dak after the show. Great guy. And I cannot wait for his upcoming podcast show that is going to be coming live here on the Orange and Blue and MHRT networks very, very soon. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is your first time here. Got a couple of things we got to get out of the way first before we get to the topic of today's show. If this is not your first time here and you're a veteran and you're back, welcome back. Before anything at all, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to ask you to show your support for us here on the Orange and Blue Network. Please make sure you subscribe, share, comment, and like on any and all of the programs here we have on the network, especially here on Broncos Talk. Also to our sister station, MHRT Network. Subscribe, share, comment, and like on all of their network shows as well. And same thing, if you have any comments or questions through them, you can always ask us directly. If you're going to get a little bit add us on your socials. You can hit us up on Twitter. Our handles are right there at the bottom of your screens. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is Bronco Libre 5280. We are always down and happy to talk about any and all things football. Just make sure you keep it professional, and keep it moving. For our audio listeners, please make sure you give us 5-star reviews. You can screenshot, send it to us, and we will be more than happy to shout you guys out here on the air and say thanks for all of your continued support. Also, to our TikTok audience, shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for being such great sports.
Let's go.
Chat. Libre is going to be in charge of the TikTok chat for what might be a pretty long time. So
you know what? Don't underestimate yourself on that. Like, just know that now that you're now on the live, that when more people coming through and they're seeing that and they're like, oh, look at 6'10" Mexican. Let me go follow him real quick. And then we're going to be co-hosting together where we'll have both views here soon.
Just for that, I think I'm going to donate a rose to you. How do you donate a rose? I'm going to have somebody.
I'll just send you the Venmo request. That's quicker.
Or a super chat while I'm at it.
Right?
For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, as we always say on this show, actually before that, Viva los Broncos every Friday at 7 o'clock Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, 5 o'clock Pacific, and 8 Eastern. Remember, it's an all Spanish show. If you don't understand, you can always more than welcome to tell your friends, anybody that speaks Spanish, come by your support. Or you can always come hang out and just have Google Translate or something, playing in the background and translating for you.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody is welcome to come and hang out with us on Fridays. But as I was going to say, we'd like to thank our supporter of today's show, sponsor, I should say, which is Dubby. Ladies and gentlemen, Dubby is here for you. Now, you might be asking yourself, if you've never heard of Dubby, what exactly does it do and what exactly is it? So, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, Dubby was formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crash. Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics, including the patented Neurofactor formula. It's no calories, no sugar, no maltodextrin, no fillers, and no artificial colors. Ladies and gentlemen, it's basically all of the good stuff without all the bad. It's really hard to give up on energy drinks. It's really hard to give up on coffee. Take it from somebody who drinks coffee every day. And I do have an energy drink from time to time, only because I don't have my Dubby with me handy. I wish I could keep it at work, but sticky fingers. So that's why Dubby is here for you in so many delicious flavors to help you guys out and to show you guys just how awesome Dubby is. Not just Dubby, but our friends over at the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast, which airs here on the networks every single Tuesday, would like to give you guys 10% off discount when you use the code NRWOB10 at checkout. Once again, that code is NRWOB10. Use it to get you 10% off your order of Dubby at checkout. Shout out to Dubby for being a continued sponsor for all the shows here on the network, and also to the guys on the Nothing Rhymes with podcast for hooking you and me and Libre and everybody within the sound of my voice, whether you're watching us live or after the fact, with this amazing discount.
Sí, señor.
Yeah. I ran out of beer again, so it's had to resort to Jamaica.
La Jamaica, huh? It's okay.
It's good Jamaica, though. It's not like that powder crap that you see at the stores.
Okay, I was going to say, like, what was it? About a year ago, what I did is I made my own chimoy. And you have to use Jamaica. and you have to like boil it for a good while. And
Mhm.
if you don't know what Jamaica is, just don't get it on your clothes. Don't get it on your hands because it will stain.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Sean colors, it will not go away.
No, not at all. But that flavor that comes out of it is so awesome. Especially when I make the chamoy, like that people at work were like, how did you even make this? Like, this is so good. This is like better than the store-bought ones. I go, that's because it's homemade. I go,
Yeah.
you
Nothing
control everything that's in there.
Nothing beats homemade.
Oh,
We already got some people here early in the chat. Libre, let's say hi to some of them. Gene Weaver 1410 saying the fellas.
What's happening, Mr. Weaver?
Jay, I just want to say if you didn't catch my opening just before the intro hit,
we'll take him out, Jay.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks, but I'm not a fan of the team. I'm just in it for Caruso, bro. So go Caruso. And GG's to you guys, though. You guys did your best.
You know what? One thing that I have to say about that game in that series in general is that, you know, they are a young team, but guess what? They were the number one team in the West, and we took them to the brinks. Like, they just took control there in that third quarter where we just couldn't rebound back. But just know that the Nuggets took them there without having a bench. If we had a bench at anything, just a little bit of a bench, we win that series easy. But they beat us because we had no bench.
Well, I mean, as somebody who's not a fan of either team, like what I saw, man, that was just like it was bad, man.
Yeah.
You know, but hey, you know, unfortunately, not every game is gonna go your way. You know, take it from somebody.
It's true.
Take it from somebody who's seen it that way for a very long time. Shy Vargas saying, "Hey Libre,
what's happening, Shy?
You got fans." Fanatic Jack saying, "What's good, my Broncos loco?
What's happening, Vato Loco?
What's happening, Fanatic Jack? Good to see you." D-Rock saying, "Hey Don and Libre.
D-Rock in the house. Thank you, brother."
And it's good that we can speak a language that D-Rock understands. I'm so grateful.
I know. I love when we go live on Friday nights for him.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those especially in our TikTok audience, if you do have comments or questions for us and we do not get to answer them, it's nothing against y'all. We're going to try to stay on topic as much as we can. But the thing that Libre and I love to do about these shows is sometimes we just go in rants and there's no set schedule. There's no like itinerary. Sometimes we just shoot off the hip, especially when we get to the overtime portion of the show. So, but that's what we love to do. You know, we just kind of like to get lost in the sauce, as they say, and then just have a great effing time. So, the topic of today's show, future division champs. Now, the only reason this title came to mind is because I don't know if you guys have heard me say it, but Libre sends me like TikTok videos, and you know, most of the time they're really hilarious. But the last one he sent me was I forget who asked it. They asked Mark Schlereth how close he thought that the Broncos were closing in on not just beating the Chiefs, but taking the division. So I was like, that's a great effing idea. Like Libre and I should talk about that on the show. So, you know, just when I'm telling you on Wednesday mornings on my drive to work, I'm always thinking about like, you know, if we don't have something set, like I'm trying to figure out what it is that Libre can talk about. And Libre just came through like you wouldn't believe. So I'm so grateful for him. I'm so grateful for Johnny for coming up with the titles, you know. So, you know, shout out to both of those guys. Well, except Libre, not.
Hey, we're a team here. That, you know, we work off of each other, we give each other ideas, and that's why we make such a great team.
And I'm actually seeing a question on your TikTok chat here from Alan MTZ, who asks us, "What do you think the Broncos record will be, and also do you think that the Broncos can beat the Cowboys?" Now, I will quickly say that we did talk when the schedule release dropped last week. Alan, we did do our reaction video. It was like over 2 hours, and we gave kind of like our prediction. We did the same thing on Viva Los Broncos on Friday. I don't remember the specific number off the top of my head. Maybe Libre does because I think he was writing it down. But I do remember it was in double digits. And basically, Alan, the record that the Broncos have to achieve has to be better than the record they did last year. There is no way that that is small writing, my friend.
Well, it's just on a little
sticky note.
Yeah. So both of us, though, because I went and I wrote all this down on Friday when we went through Viva Los Broncos. And I was just actually telling Alan here earlier because I did put us on mute. But both of us on Friday, we both said 12-5. That's what our record's going to be. I feel like when we did the initial reaction on last Wednesday, when we did the Super Show, I think we said we were going to be 13-4 or something like that, just a consensus with the whole group, with everyone itself. So, but I feel like either way, if it's going to be 13-4, 12-5, whatever it's going to be, I think that's going to be enough for us to win the division. And I also feel like that last game versus the Chargers here in Denver could be the final determination to see who's actually the divisional champs. Which I feel it's going to be a close rally between us. And I think, like I said, with that video, have we done enough to overtake the division? And I think what we've done so far with our additions during the free agency, what we've done through the draft, I feel that this team has done enough to get out there and actually take this division itself, which I'm super excited for. 12-5. That's probably on the little lower end, but I feel that that's something attainable, something that we're going to be taking the advantage of, and we're going to take the league by storm again. The league is not ready for these Broncos. I just saw the over-under was like at 9.5 or something like that, which I think we're going to exceed that. Last year, we doubled the projection itself. Let's go 3-4 games. Let's do that. I think we can do this year.
I second agree with everything Libre said. So I hope that answered your question, Alan. If you need any more emphasis on it, please feel free to ask. To answer the second part of your question, the Broncos are definitely going to beat the Cowboys. They're the only team that they face out of the 3 NFC East teams that the Broncos should beat wholeheartedly. I did say last week that I did see the Broncos falling to the Eagles just because the Eagles are they're defending world champs, A, and B, they're going to be a really, really tough out. So in order for the Broncos to beat the Eagles, they'd have to catch them in either a bad day or, unfortunately, if they're coming in limping into the game with injured players, and then the Broncos can take advantage of it. But the same thing with Washington. Same predicament. I mean, you got the Jaden Daniels, who was the offensive rookie of the year and took the Commanders all the way to the conference championship game. So that's pretty far. They were just one game away from the Super Bowl, but unfortunately they couldn't get past their rival Eagles. So those two guys are totally in different teams, different situations. But the Cowboys, the biggest additions the Cowboys made was George Pickens and Javonte Williams. Two names that I'm not saying George Pickens is a bad wide receiver, but they didn't need to go get a George Pickens. They already had a CeeDee Lamb, and there's already been talks of Pickens and Lamb already going at it because they're both going to be trying to be number one. You know what I'm saying? So that's already an issue. The running game has not improved for Dak Prescott. Their offensive line just took a big hit with one of their players retiring. So they're literally starting from scratch. And Dak has been kind of injury prone these last couple seasons. So if he goes down again like he did last year, and there's no more Cooper Rush, I think Cooper Rush left. So, and not to mention that the Cowboys have to contend with the Eagles and the Commanders twice. So the only team that they'll probably get over is the Giants, just because the Giants I don't think are going to move the needle anywhere. And if they do, it'll be out of sheer luck. But to kind of go back to the topic of today's show is basically Libre and I are going to sit here and talk to you guys and tell you how close we think that the Broncos are, or if they are already over it, in case we have a difference of opinion. To me, I think that the Broncos are like right behind. Have you ever seen that meme of I'm pretty sure you have Libre. I don't know if you remember the match during WrestleMania during COVID 2020, where it was the Undertaker and AJ Styles, and AJ thought that he had buried the Undertaker, and the Undertaker just was standing behind him the whole time.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So AJ Lee is the Chief, or AJ Styles. Sorry, AJ Styles is the Chiefs, and the Undertaker is the Broncos. That's how close the Broncos are to taking this division. They just have to put it on paper. Last year, they were so close. They were a field goal kick away from sweeping the world champs. Okay. And this year, I believe that the Broncos are going to take the reins back from the Chiefs. I will say, before I turn it over to Libre, I do think that the Chargers are going to be nipping at our heels, just for the simple fact that we did get swept by them, and they're not going to be an easy out, especially how I thought it was. So I think that the Chargers are just going to be a thorn on our side. I'm not worried about the Raiders. I think that the Raiders are probably going to be in the basement again, just for the simple fact that I mean, you guys have heard me say it on the show a million times. I don't have any faith in Pete Carroll. Yes, they did go get Ashton Genty, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. But at the same time, the Raiders have so many issues on both sides of the ball that it's not going to be enough to overcome everything that the Broncos have done. And again, bringing Geno Smith from Seattle is maybe going to move the needle in terms of quarterback improvement over what they had in Aiden O'Connell and maybe Jimmy Garoppolo, I guess. But it's not going to be anything where they're going to be in contention for the divisional title.
I agree with you 100%. The Raiders themselves are still the bottom feeder itself. They only hurt themselves. Like, yes, they got Pete Carroll, but how old is he? Like, Seattle already said, like, last year, they're like, hey, it's time for you to step down. Like, we think that you're too old for the system itself. What's the first thing that he does when he's there in Vegas? Let's get your old quarterback that you have that's in there that had one or two games that he did well in, but was not very successful. He hasn't done anything for you there in Seattle while you were there with him. What do you think is going to make a difference here in Vegas now that you bring him in? The line is different. You don't have a line. You don't have any of these additional players that are there that's going to help you out. Yes, you have the tight end. You have, you just picked up one of the best running back that's they consider the generational running back in the draft this year with Genty. But he's not NFL proven. Like I mentioned this last week as well, is that he played in the Mountain West. He was playing against those guys that were, less competition as well. So he just dominated through those guys. But now that he has to play against the best of the best and the defense that are out there, especially when you talk about the Denver defense, who is considered the best defense in the whole league, they're not going to be able to do anything. He's not going to be able to get out there. So with that, Raiders, I can already scratch you guys off. To all my Raider fans that are out there that are following the live out here on TikTok, everywhere else, you're always commenting, Raiders suck. Just remember that. That's what I'm saying right now. It's nothing going to happen with you guys. Exactly. Like, and then with KC, I feel like KC, like last year was one of those anomaly years for them itself, where they had so many close games that they just got lucky and got some of those wins. One of them was against us, So with that, I feel that this year, what we've done to help rectify that is going to offset those type of close games. They're not going to have those close games this year. Teams are going to figure it out. They're going to be able to win those games. KC is older. I think with Travis Kelce, he's not the player that he's used to. He's coming back again. He took a while to decide if he's really going to come back or not. So I feel like with that alone, just already have that in his mind that he's already halfway out. He wants to go spend more time with Tay at her concerts and all that, which go ahead, go. Because again, like how they're going to say, haters going to hate. Shake it off. Shake it off. Watch, we're going to get monetized for that, or we're going to get, what do you call it? Demonetized on that. But you know what? It's okay. But with you going back to talking about the Cowboys have not beaten the Denver Broncos in the 2000s. Not a single time. They have not done anything to help themselves. Maybe besides getting Pickens, that's it. That's the only thing that I feel like they've really truly done to help that team out. But again, is Dak Prescott going to be able to do what he was able to do in the past and not get injured and be able to sling the ball to him? He has to be out there to do that. If he's not, it's not going to work out there. Javonte Williams, I don't know why they picked him up so early in the free agency part of it. I think it was just Jerry Jones freaking out saying that they need a running back because they just let Zeke go. And they just wanted a body to be put in there. Javonte Williams is not that guy. You don't have the line that's going to help him out there, especially when he's still in his head, which I believe that he's still in his head about his knee injury. It's not going to be a good matchup for you guys. I'll be surprised if he actually makes the 53-man roster by the time the season starts.
Yeah, well, you know what? And just before we get off top or too far into it, Rodney Garcia saying, "Good evening, guys. Go Broncos."
What's up,
He also said, "I want to see a Super Bowl at Levi Stadium with the Broncos versus the Commanders."
Ooh, that would be a wonderful Super Bowl right there.
Let me just say, as much as I believe that the Commanders they're going to be a good team, their defense is still not where Dan Quinn wants it to be. So while they did surprise a lot of people by getting towards the championship game last year, if they make it that far again, they're more than likely going to have to go against Philly. I don't know why. I see Philly going back to represent the NFC next year in the Super Bowl. And if that happens again, we could see the same thing where it's going to be where even though Washington can match the firepower offensively with Philadelphia, they're not going to be able to defensively hold Jalen Hurts. So there's still a couple of a few picks away or players away from turning that defense around and I believe Dan Quinn can do it because he did it in Dallas. All right, his defense in Dallas, I'll give him credit, was great. Unfortunately, their very first playoff game, they crapped the bed and they got blown out by the Packers of Jordan Love of all teams. So I don't think the Commanders will be there. I think if anything, it'll probably be Broncos and Eagles in the Super Bowl. And the boss, Johnny Baki, saying, "Look at these two gentlemen." Isn't that nice? The boss coming in saying, "Yeah, you know what?
It's because he heard your opening, bro."
I don't think Johnny heard my opening. Johnny, whatever you do, don't go and rewatch the opening because just don't do it. And I've
fallen and I can't get up.
Camera.
Ladies and gentlemen,
since we're on the subject, let's talk a little bit more about the Chiefs. And I'm pretty sure some news that came out, not specifically affecting. Well, what do the Chiefs call themselves? Chiefs Nation or whatever?
Something like
Chiefs
that.
Kingdom. Yeah. Basically, freaking Johnny. Joe Thuney got an extension with the Bears, and he hasn't even played a snap of football in a Bears uniform yet. So I'm pretty sure that hurt a lot of Chiefs fans' hearts. And if it hasn't hurt them yet, it will hurt them when the season starts because that offensive line, and I know you guys have heard my cousin on the show come and saying like, "Oh, we say it every time that the Chiefs are gonna, they're gonna suck this year, they're gonna go downfall and all that stuff." We say that all the time, but this year it's especially looking like it because even with the offensive line that took the Chiefs to the Super Bowl last year, even with that line, they still struggled against a mighty front defensive line that the Eagles had that more than likely rivaled what they faced against Tampa Bay a couple of years ago that also cost them a championship. So the blueprint was always there, but it's just that not a lot of teams have those types of players that the Eagles have. I mean, they stacked up on in the draft, and they hit home runs. Got to give them credit where they're due. Plus, you have a defensive-minded coach like Vic Fangio, and that's just adding insult to injury. So, with that being said, the magic's going to run out. And I'm pretty sure, if I didn't say this last week, I'm pretty sure somebody said that this whole thing that the Chiefs went through last year, where they were winning these games by luck, with the field goals and the block kicked and just a toe. They beat the Ravens by a toe. Okay. All of these acts of luck are not going to carry over this year. They're absolutely not. All right. The Chiefs are a lot more beat up than they led on to be. That's why it was so important for them to win that championship, because even if they go and, this season turns into a crapshoot for them, at least they can say that they won, that would have been their third Super Bowl. They would have had bragging rights. They would have had all that razzmatazz, and they didn't get it. That offensive lineman that they picked up that only like really diehard college heads know, I'm pretty sure is not going to be anywhere near as the player that Joe Thuney was. And Joe Thuney was too expensive to keep. That's why they let him go. The Chiefs have a really big cap hit because of Patrick Mahomes and all that money. And even though they keep restructuring Patrick Mahomes' contract every year, it's still not enough where it liberates them to kind of go and try to retain the same players that they did. Again, I don't know why Travis Kelce is still a Chief. To be honest with you, I think that they could have went and gotten another tight end elsewhere, undrafted maybe, or, picked one in free agency, or maybe traded for one. I don't know. But Travis Kelce, I'll give him his roses. He's going to be more than likely enshrined in the Hall of Fame and all that. Good for him. But there's a time where, if you just can't do it anymore, and you got to let it go.
Honestly, what I think for him right now, what's the thing is he likes the comfortability that he's there in KC. He doesn't want to go anywhere else where he knows Patrick Mahomes. He had Alex Smith at the, one part of his beginning of his career. He has Pat now, and he's succeeded more with Pat, and he doesn't want to go anywhere else and start over. He's already too late in his career at this point. I feel that he wants to do it. He's won several Super Bowls already. Why would you want to go anywhere else? Finish off he's probably saying, let me just finish my career off where I started at. Let's just finish off. Hopefully we can finish off with another Super Bowl, but it's not going to happen. They're already in the decline. We see that they got exposed there in the Super Bowl. So another reason is, like you were just saying too, it's like, why won't you want to go somewhere else? But it's that comfortability that he has. And I feel like that's the reason why he's staying. So if anything, if they have a bad year this year, he's retiring at the end of this upcoming year.
I think he's probably going to retire regardless. Having a bad year is probably just going to accelerate things for him, especially if injuries start to play a role, so. But he is nowhere near the threat that he was, when Patrick Mahomes first came on the scene. Hell, even when what's his name? The quarterback before Patrick Mahomes. I can't think of his name. Alex. Oh, shoot. I can't think of it. His name. Alex Smith.
Yeah.
So, I just don't see it. And the Broncos are inching so close to sweeping the Chiefs. I mean, if you go back to not last year, but the year before, during the Mahomes flu game, where the Broncos finally broke the streak, that was an amazing game for Denver. And they technically should have won the first game in Kansas City. They just unfortunately ran out of time. But if they would have had just a little bit more time, they would have been more time. They would have played their cards better and managed their time better. They had a good chance of beating Kansas City in that on that night. I think it was a Monday Night Football game, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, it's there for the taking. And I'm more worried about getting ahead of the Chargers than I am the Chiefs, if I'm being honest with you guys. Just for the simple fact that, again, the Chargers they swept us last year, and they looked like they were going to be a very formidable team, and then they go and fold against the Houston Texans in the playoffs. So they have their own issues. The Chiefs definitely have issues. The Raiders have, God, for the sake of how many issues. And it's just like, it's right there for the Broncos to take. And all they just have to do is stay the course. Use the weapons that they got in free agency to the best of their abilities. Let's just hope that the rookies can, string along. Yes, they're going to make mistakes along the way. Every rookie does. Bo Nix did it last year. But hey, you learn from your mistakes, and if you don't, like history, you're doomed to repeat it. I'm seeing some questions in the TikTok chat, and there's one that I saw that says, are the Seahawks going to be okay this year?"
Talking to Wine King there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Like I was just telling him earlier too. Honestly, I don't think the Seahawks are going to be good this year. I think they're going to be hurting. We'll see what happens. They got rid of a lot of their key players during this offseason. DK's now gone. It's going to try to prove it to us, see what you can do. But I feel like this is going to be a year that they struggle, and a lot of Hawks fans there are not going to be happy with them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that probably not. Mike McDonald, he's turning the Seahawks into a more like a defensive-minded team. If you saw what they did to us week 1, we all thought that the Broncos were gonna go in there stomp Seattle, and unfortunately that wasn't the case. So they're gonna be like a more defensive-minded team. Bringing Sam Darnold over to me doesn't make any sense, because they could have just paid or kept Geno Smith, and they could have saved a whole ton of money. And I've said it on this channel before. I really do hope that Seattle realizes that Sam Darnold came to Seattle without Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. So those two guys made Sam Darnold look like an all-star. And unfortunately, you guys saw what happened in the postseason when he went up against a team like the Rams and just completely folded. Now you have that same quarterback that's going to have to play the Rams twice this coming season. And that was with a better offensive line that Seattle has and better receivers now that Minnesota has. So I don't see it. I don't understand why Seattle went and spent all that money on. To be honest with you guys, it reminds me a lot of what happened when Case Keenum came to Denver. It's giving me those type of vibes. We were expecting Case Keenum. He was like the gunslinger. And if you watched all the media reports like I did, watching him break down plays, the Minnesota Miracle was one of them. Like, he gets you excited. Just watching him, and you're like, oh, we finally have a quarterback. We finally we can do this and we can do that. But you have to keep in mind that in that division, he's got to go up against Matthew Stafford, who's coming back, that Rams defense, who's going to be really tough to beat. And those guys are hungry. Okay. They were like second or third in total sacks last year, if I'm not mistaken. Then you have Arizona. I don't know if you saw that interview video of Marvin Harrison Jr. That guy looks buff as hell.
Yeah, he does.
He looks like he's gonna really make up for having that really his a bad rookie year, I want to say, because he only had one good game all last year. So he's going to be a threat. If Kyler Murray can kind of snap out of it, he can really help be a threat. The Niners, Brock Purdy, they paid him a whole bunch of money. He's still got a couple of weapons, but I feel that the Niners defense is really going to be like what hurts them and holds them back. I don't see the Niners winning that division. They can probably play spoiler, but they lost Dre Greenlaw, which was a really, really huge loss for them. They lost to a Funga, who I don't care what anybody says was also a big, big loss for them. And it's just going to be it is going to be all over the place. But I think that the Rams are probably going to take that division again. Now, the Cardinals could be a sneak. They could sneak in there if Harrison plays out and turns out to be that wide receiver we all thought he was going to be last year. But I do think that the Rams are going to more than likely be division champs again.
When you went through and started talking about Case Keenum, that's one of the QBs that I was excited for to come in and do something with us. But then I was just thinking about, now that you were talking about it, It's because we didn't have a line. It's been a problem where we hadn't had a line for a while. I feel now with our line that we still have, we have a good line. Is it strong? No. We have one or two spots that are pretty weak, but I think with the unit that we have now is going to be able to help us get to where we need, especially helping out with Bo Nix. And then especially with Bo Nix now having other weapons, just not the wide receiver and Cortland Sutton and Mims and all that. We now have an outlet. We have a running back receiver that comes out of the backfield that actually is doing pretty good with RJ Harvey. Man, I was just watching some of the videos that he was at Dove Valley for the rookies itself. Man, his thighs are freaking huge, man. They're just like how tiny for how tiny of a person that he is. Those are some freaking huge thighs, which are ridiculous. So I'm excited to see him, and now I understand why the Broncos saw him so highly and got him there in the second round. But that going back to Case Keenum, I think because we didn't have that offensive line, I think that's why he didn't really excel here in Denver itself, and he was just set to fail right away. And that goes along with a lot of that quarterback carousel that we had coming through, is that we didn't have the team to help support them while they were here.
We have a question here from the Facebook chat. Keith Brugman. I hope I said your last name right. Thank you so much for being here and a supporter of the show. My high salute to you, my friend.
What's happening, brother?
And he's asking us, Libre, what keeps Bo Nix from having a sophomore slump? Now, those are two words that our boss, Johnny Bakke, does not like to hear. Sophomore slump, if you've heard him on the air. So he's probably, if I had to guess, he probably flipped over his lazy boy and probably yelling at the monitor. Right about now. But if it's okay with Libre, I'd like to answer this question.
Go for it.
Here.
Yeah.
And two words for you, Keith, as to your response. Sean Payton. If Sean Payton's teachings and his coaching actually work, and Bo Nix has actually learned what he has to learn, and he learned from his mistakes last year, and he's learning how to improve himself in the offseason going into year 2, that's going to be the way that keeps him from having this so-called sophomore slump. Now, it's very important that he actually does that, because CJ Stroud last year, his second year was terrible. All right. His first year, he looked like he was going to be the next Lamar Jackson, the next Deshaun Watson in terms of being, fantastic and all that. And he just kind of hit a wall. He hit a wall with Houston, and I'm pretty sure they're worried down there about, hey, what's going on? What happened to the guy that took us to the playoffs, the year before, and, it was going to be all, thumbs up and all that in Houston. But it didn't turn out to be that way. So that feeling, that possibility does linger in my head in terms of saying, I really do hope that doesn't happen to Bo Nix. But again, Sean Payton and DeMeco Ryans are two different people. Mm-hmm. And those were two people that the Broncos considered bringing in as potential coach candidates before they finally went out and actually traded for Sean Payton's contract from the Saints to come coach for the Broncos. And we're starting to see the difference already. Now, year 2 will definitely yield and answer that question more fully, Keith. And as I pass it over to Libre, I believe in Sean Payton. I believe that his coaching is going to help make him better. We already saw it happen when his first year with Russell Wilson. All right. Because if you compare Russell Wilson to the year before Sean got here, and then the year after, it's like night and day. So if he can do that with a veteran quarterback, I can only imagine what he can do with a guy like Bo Nix.
You know what? Like, you said it best already. The way I like to put it this way, Keith, in Sean Payton we trust. Like, you have to have the trust. He's just such a super mind within this offense itself. Not only has he's done so much to help this team already, and guess what? He didn't go offense first round, which he could have gone easily to help Bo Nix, but he's done this by helping him out with the team overall, starting off with the defense and getting Barron in here. We needed something to help solidify our defense, and that's what he did. But you have to also think, what did we do during the offseason? The offseason was really offensive heavy, if you really think about it. Well, I could say it's split. More likely it was split because we got Tufonga and Greenlaw. And then we go out and get Evan Ingram, the quote-unquote joker that we needed. That is the guy that is actually going to help out Bo Nix so much this year. It's not even like it's so underrated right now. I feel like if people just look into this a little bit more, Evan Ingram is going to be helping out Bo Nix just because he's that type of guy. He's going to be able to be that outlet that Bo Nix didn't have. And if you look at last year, what did Bo Nix do? Yes, we struggled at the beginning of the season, but during the whole season itself, he just got better and better and better. And just think about this. Sean Payton did not give him the whole playbook to be able to play on Sundays. This upcoming year, he's going to open it up a little bit more. So people do not have tape of what Sean Payton's offense is capable of doing. And he's going to continue to increase and get better and better for this upcoming season. We saw this over here with Jaden Daniels. He started off the season super strong, was there, and then he plateaued. He just plateaued there at the middle of the season. He didn't do much. And guess what was happening? Bo Nix got better and better. And that's why his name got entered in with Rookie of the Year as well, because of that. Daniels only won it because of what happened within the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. And that's part of why he won the Rookie of the Year. But let me tell you, I feel like Bo Nix is going to be that better quarterback within this league. And if it is wrong and if he happens to have something wrong, I'll come back on these airwaves here and say, you know what? I was wrong. This is what it happens. But I will go ahead and take it as well. But mark it now. Bo Nix will be a better quarterback than Jaden Daniels. And like the earlier comment, yeah, I would love to see Levi Stadium there in early February, Broncos versus Commanders. That would be a freaking awesome Super Bowl to see. And when was the last time the Broncos won a Super Bowl? 10 years ago. Where was it at? Levi Stadium. History repeats itself.
Keith jumping in and also asking us, bigger jump this year, Drew Sanders or Troy Franklin? Before I answer your question, Keith, I did see, I'm trying to keep up with the TikTok chat. Sorry if I missed
TikTok's going crazy right now.
Somebody asked what happened with Russell Wilson. I think it was Hawaiian King. Basically, short answer, he didn't re-sign with the Steelers. I'm pretty sure it had something to do with money, is my guess. And of course, Justin Fields he went to the Jets, and Russell Wilson is with the Giants.
The G-men.
They're literally going to be like a locker away from each other, playing in 2 different conferences. And hey, who knows? In a Madden game somewhere, they might meet up in the Super Bowl. But that's what happened to Russell. But to answer your question, Keith, Drew Sanders, he's going into his 3rd year as a Bronco. Troy Franklin's going into his 2nd. So I think there's a little bit more pressure on Troy, just for the simple fact that I feel he got selected just because of his connection with Bo Nix. And and I'm pretty sure management was expecting him and Bo to do in Denver what they did in their time in Oregon. So Troy Franklin did have 2 awesome plays during the season. He also did have like that catch that hit him right in the hands and it just fell off. So he's got a lot of work to do in terms of, ball control and, catching the ball and all that stuff. So the rookie thing, it's already over. So hopefully he can work through his, I don't want to say frustrations, but his issues and be that wide receiver that we want him to be. And he's going to be in a crowded wide receiver at that, because he's going to have the wide receiver that, I'm sorry, his name escapes me. Pat, what's his name? Oh, you're going to kill me.
Our wide receiver?
Yeah.
Pat, is it Harvey?
No, that's RJ Harvey. That's the running back.
Pat. Dang, what is his name again?
I know it's
Yes.
Pat something. Pat Bryant. Thank you, Shaq.
Bryant. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, Pat Bryant. Tip of my tongue. So I expect a bigger jump from Troy than Drew. I think Drew's kind of settled into his place on the team. I don't think his job is in jeopardy per se, but I do know that he's been kind of injury prone.
Injured. That's what I was gonna say. He has more to prove on the team, but it's those injuries. If he can stay healthy, like once he's out there and he's playing, like you see that potential that he has. He just needs to stay healthy. That's really what it comes down to. But I think with this upcoming year, I think Troy Franklin as well is going to have a bigger year as well, only for the fact that I think that Bo Nix and him and some of the other wide receivers are working in the offseason somewhere and just going out there and practicing all of these route plays and so forth, so that they're already getting more familiar, even though they should already have it from college. But I feel like the NFL game is way different than what the college game was. So with that being said, they're just working on that craft right now before official mandatory OTAs are coming up here soon and so forth. So I think that they've been on a beach doing something where they're actually working on those routes, and hopefully that they have done that so that they can be those true connection that they had out there in Oregon, and just let it happen. I feel like the NFL for Troy Franklin just got away from him, and I think he was just like his eyes were too wide open and too excited, and everything was just like too much for him at that time. Hopefully this year is now under his belt. Everything will settle down. Everything slows down for him, and he'll be best, and he'll do a lot better.
I agree, my friend. And we have Denver Sports Cult in the TikTok chat saying Vele is going to be the dark horse.
Yes, he will be.
I definitely believe that. I think it's going to be a crowded wide receiver room, if I'm being honest with you guys. I mean, because if you think about it, we have Sutton, we have Mims, we have Vele, we have Pat Bryant, we have Troy Franklin. Don't be surprised, and this is a hot take, don't be surprised if one of those guys ends up either being cut after preseason or being traded. I mean, because we've been in this situation before with Tim Patrick. So, and unfortunately, Tim Patrick didn't make the cut. And Tim Patrick's a different situation because he was coming off of 2 back-to-back season
major surgeries. Yeah.
But he's still a very good player, and he's still doing a lot of good work over there in Detroit. So 5 wide receivers carrying into the team is definitely going to be something to watch for. So, and if they do that, then that means that somebody in that 53-man roster is going to be the odd man looking out. So if either one of those guys gets put into practice squad, they're going to be snatched up so quick. So I don't see that happening. I really do hope not, because I would hate to see one of those guys suit up in a different, especially if it's an AFC West rival uniform. But hopefully it all works out for the better for the team. But needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, and to answer Keith his third question, he asks us, does an undrafted rookie make the roster?
Yes.
Maybe.
Short answer is going to be yes. I do feel like that it will happen. I saw some of the names. I just saw them just right after the draft itself, but I feel like one of those guys will make the team. It's like a tradition for this Broncos. Like, it is going to be somebody on that was an unrestricted free agent that signed out is going to make the team. Who will it be? I don't know yet. We'll get that more once OTAs and once training camp starts, and you could see when they actually get into it a lot more. And we'll definitely do that. I think would be awesome if we could potentially do one of our shows live, maybe if you can do it earlier from the stadium or from the practice facility, because I'll definitely be there a couple times. We'll see what happens with them allowing videotaping and so forth, because they do say it's pretty strict about that, but I'll figure a way to do it, even if it's just like an audio part of it, an audio version of it. So definitely set that up.
Yeah. Keith, I do think that a non-drafted rookie can make the roster. The only one that comes to mind is Philip Lindsay. I don't know why, but I remember when Philip Lindsay hit the scene. He was an undrafted rookie, and he was the bee's knees for those first couple seasons. He was a Bronco, and it sucks that they kind of gave up on him. And he did see some action over in Indy, but it's happened, and it happens every single season with every team. Shai Vargas asking us, how many wide receivers do we think are going to stay on the 53-man roster? I just basically kind of answered this. I'll repeat it. I think it's going to be just the 5: Mims, Sutton, Bryant, Franklin, and Vele. I think that's a good number, although 5, some people would think is a bit of a stretch. But again, if you put either one of those guys on a practice squad, they're going to get snatched up quickly. Or if they cut them, same thing, they're going to get picked up by another team quickly, just like Tim Patrick did last year, unless they trade one of them. So
yeah. And
if they did end up trading either one of them, if they absolutely had to, I would probably think that they would probably trade Sutton, just because I think they would get a bit of better value for his veterancy over somebody like Mims or any of the other 4. And Ibrahim saying, who will be wide receiver 2 or running back 1? To be honest with you, Ibrahim, I hope I'm saying your name right. Either Mims or Sutton. I think Sutton's going to be number 1, just because I think that his veterancy kind of kicks in him being number 1. But you couldn't go wrong with either one of them. Mims has the speed. Sutton, when his hands are working right, can catch almost anything thrown his way. And in terms for running back 1, that's pretty obvious. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Harvey, who's going to take the lead. Estime and McLaughlin are more than likely going to play second and third string running backs, which is fine because everybody wants to see what RJ Harvey can do. And I don't really see why. I don't see why the Broncos would put Harvey behind either one of those 2 guys.
Wide receiver 2, it's going to be tough. That's really the true question. Who's going to be there? Who's going to come out and show out? Definitely, like how you said, Sutton's 1. Right now, would you say Mims is 2? I'd say Mims is probably the 3rd coming out. It could be where Pat Bryant might be number 2, and the type of player that he is, and what he's been able to do with the film that he put out while he was in college, he could be there. It's going to be questioned on that. RB1 is going to be RJ Harvey. I think that's going to be it. I think with Audric Estime, he's going to be more of that fullback type of guy where he's going to be in there creating some holes for you, doing that just because of the type of player that he is. McLaughlin, does he? I don't even think he makes the team this year. He has to beat out RJ Harvey, which I don't think he's going to do that. Especially us taking him in the 2nd round. There's no way that we cut him. So McLaughlin is going to have to do something special in order to stay on this team. If anything, like how you're saying, he'll get cut, but he'll be signed to the practice squad itself. But yeah, I feel like that RJ Harvey is going to be the number 1 running back. We picked him in the 2nd round for a reason.
My cousin Ivan, who I really do hope is working right now, asking any updates on Dre Greenlaw. Last I heard, Greenlaw his injury was not severe. It wasn't career ending or season ending. He is still slated to make training camp, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So that's the good thing. That's probably the best news that we did hear about his quad injury itself, where it wasn't as severe as initially thought when they were initially saying that he's going to be out like half the year due to this injury. But they've already indicated that he will be good to go right as soon as training camp starts.
I agree. And that's definitely what is going to happen. I know as soon as that news came out, he literally shot it my way because he knew I was going to react to it a certain way. So that's just him being him. And I'm pretty sure he's sitting in a chair somewhere laughing his ass off about it. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us today in terms of regulation. Libre and I are getting ready to head into some overtime.
on here as well.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is a part of the segment where Libre and I let our hair down, not literally, but figuratively. And we talk about any and all things that are going on in our lives. If there's any questions in the chat, even if it's not football related, we will try to find a way to bring it back related to the Broncos if possible, but there are no guarantees. And just to be nice, Keith, gonna answer your third or fourth question, I should say, who said Estime having 1 year under his belt versus Harvey, the higher projection they had on Estime. Does that possibly put him in front of Harvey to start? No. Whoever the running back that the Broncos selected in the draft was slated to be number one. Whether it was Genty, whether it was Hampton, whether it was Harvey, it doesn't really matter. Either one of those guys, because it was such a deep running back class, were slated to start. If the Broncos had any faith in Estime or McLaughlin to say, hey, you're going to be the guy after trading away Javonte Williams, then they probably wouldn't have picked the running back so far up in the draft. They would have filled other needs, and then they would have picked one either later on in the draft, or they would have picked like an undrafted one, or hell, maybe they even would have traded for one. So, and I just don't see it as, Harvey was the second selection from the Broncos in the draft. So his name is there's going to be eyes all over Harvey, what he does in training camp, what he does in the preseason in terms of, showmanship. Now you have to remember, you have to take it with a grain of salt that in preseason, there's going to be a lot of mixture between the first, the seconds, and the third stringers. So we're definitely going to see some highlights, especially with Harvey, with Genty, with Hampton, with all those guys. So I can't wait to see what Harvey can do in this offensive line, because as Libre stated, we don't have the best offensive line in football in terms of the running game, but you better believe that these guys are going to try to make the best do with what we have.
No, agree 100%. And you have to think about this way as well, Keith. Where was Estime during our playoff game? Where was he at? He was good. He was healthy. Remember, Tyler Bidet came in off of injury, and he actually started over there, even though he had maybe just a couple of plays, but he was put onto the active roster over Estime. And I think that's just a good indication of what's happening as well. I don't know if there was something happening there at the end of the season as to why, because we even talked about this as well earlier, right after that game, is why wasn't Estime in there? So just like how Don was just saying, the running back that came in, and especially him being a second rounder at that's his job to lose right now. Like, he has to go out there and totally mess up and lose the job, especially to Estime. But because of their two different types of running backs, RJ Harvey is going to be our main running back, and Estime is going to be like our fullback itself, where he's going to be really blocking for him, creating those holes and whatnot. So as much as we would like to see that Estime, because I want to see Estime go out there, because he's a beast, man. He's just another big body beast out there. He reminded me of Marshawn Lynch, who was out there, that big body, take one cut and go downfield. And that's what I like to see, especially when you think about that. You think about Terrell Davis. That was the one cut type of guy, and that's what we were hoping that he would be. But unfortunately, it didn't work out last year for him. So go ahead.
Not to cut you off, Libre, but Sarah Smiles, I just want to say, thanks, because you're like, just your enthusiasm, and
she's a rock star.
You're awesome, and it's great to see, orange and blue hearts and representing and all that stuff. So shout out to you. Shout out to all the Broncos fans in the Broncos chat and the TikTok chat. There was a Raider fan who was talking smack.
He was just going in there. You know what? I appreciate everyone that comes into the live and TikTok and whatnot. I love that you have that passion for your team. But you know what? It's like, I love it. But again, with me, with Adon, with some of our other guys that are on here, we're fan of fans. That's what we are. We love that you have that fandom for your team. He said out there, F all the Broncos country. The only person that he really cared about was Brandon Perna. But again, Brandon Perna is that one of those other type of guys too. It's like, he's out there. He has no filter, but that's why people like him. You know what? And I'm okay with that. Eventually, you're going to come over and you're going to be liking us as well. And I love that you're here watching the live, commenting on this. I appreciate your fandom for the Raiders. We can talk more. We can even have a whole episode of just the Raiders if we wanted to, but that's one thing that we can talk about in the future. If you're really interested on that, send us a message. Send me a message on here and we'll talk about it. We'll see if we can get you on. I'm happy about that.
You know what the funny thing, I don't know if I ever told you my funny Brandon Perna story. So I love Brandon Perna. I watch his content all the time on YouTube. If you guys have never seen his YouTube shows on his channel, go watch them. They're hilarious. He's one of the best Broncos, if not the best Broncos content creator I have ever seen. I mean, his stuff is always funny. He's always got us laughing. His lives are hilarious. His reaction, his relationship with Packer Cast is also funny and fantastic. But I remember one time, I think it was during when the Broncos got shellacked by Miami. I put out a tweet where I basically said, like, hey, don't even let what's his name? Vance Joseph. Don't even let him on the plane. Let him walk.
Oh, yes.
I said something like that, and my tweet actually made it on his show. And it was like, I felt so honored. Like, it was funny as hell. I watched it like 100 times. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Glenn messaged me because he saw it before I did, and he's like, hey, you're on Brandon Perna's show. And I was like, oh, no way. And I went back and I watched it, and yeah, he was right. And it's like a 5-second clip where my comment was highlighted and he played like a clip, like a video clip behind it. It was funny. And I was like, wow, I feel like I've actually talked and met Brandon Perna. I don't know why. I hope to one day, but unfortunately I'm not at that level where he probably doesn't even know who or what I am. So, but hey, who knows?
He knows who you are. He saw your tweet.
Yeah, he saw my tweet. But other than that, I'm pretty sure he doesn't watch this show. But it was fantastic. But again, it's always nice to see. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Sarah. That's
what I just told her too. I just put us on mute. But to go off a little bit about the show and whatnot, but one thing that what happened today in the NFL with rules wise and whatnot, I want to talk about the tush push.
Mm-hmm.
It's staying. It's not going away. And one tweet, I think it was somebody sent out something on X as well. I think it might have been Mark Schlereth or somebody talking about, all right, Broncos country, what are we going to do when we play the Eagles? And with the tush push still in play, what do we do to help stop it? It's just going to be out there. You just have to get lower than that offensive line. Get under those offensive linemen for those. So our defensive line, our defensive front need to get lower than they are so that you get that leverage and they can't get in there and push you back. Really, they only do it when they need that, like less than a yard to go. So, And I said this before too, when we were talking about the rules, about the proposed new rules and all that. And I said it then, I keep it. It's part of the game. You just have to do better and stop it.
Yeah. I mean, I forget the name of the player from the Rams last year. He kind of figured it out. He timed the count. I think he was off by like a half second. But if he gets that right, he's literally in the back and he can pull Jalen Hurts back before he gets a chance to duck his head and sneak in. Yep. So there are ways to beat the tush push. It's just somebody's going to find it, Libre. And when they do, everybody's going to copy it. And then in no time, it's going to be no different than a quarterback sneak. All right.
You know when it's going to happen? When everyone's going to have film? When they see the Broncos do it against them. They're in Philly. I'm calling it now.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Hufanga that stops him because he has that type of energy where he can just jump over that line and grab Hurts and pull him back. and like it will be the best highlight of the week.
Yes,
of the freaking year.
you already know.
But it's just like I cannot wait. It's see the thing, and to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying about the Raider smack talk and all that. You guys have heard us say it on the show a bunch of times. And I'm pretty sure Libre's seen it way more than me because he has season tickets, so he goes to every single Broncos home game. Unfortunately, I'm lucky to go to one, maybe two games a year. But when I do go, and the camaraderie, the rivalry is just great, and it's intense.
Oh yeah.
And it is just like you would if you've never been, because there are fans out there that have never been to a football game. I highly suggest you go to one, especially if you can make the trip out to Denver, because there are people that have never been out to Mile High. Hell, I had never been to Mile High up until 2018 when I literally drove to Denver. And you guys have heard me tell the story before. And my very first game that I saw in Denver was the Broncos versus the Texans. And it was the Demaryius Thomas game, God rest his soul, when he had just got traded to the Texans. So I still have the video of when I first walked in under the bridge and just seeing all that orange and blue. Like it was I'm telling you, it was one of the best experiences I ever have in my life. And it just recharges my orange and blue heart like you wouldn't believe. I'm grateful for the couple of times that when they do come to Chicago, whether it's a preseason game or a regular season game, hell, I'm there. And just seeing all the orange, even though some of it is mixed with the Chicago orange, but it really doesn't matter. It's still a very, very nice feeling. So the Broncos were here, 2 years ago? So I think it'll be another 2 years before they come to Chicago, maybe.
No, it's every 8 years that they go. Especially it's so it's every 8 years. So in 4 years they come here to Denver.
And then so in 6 years they'll be back in Chicago and I'll be 46.
So just talking about the tailgate. I tailgate every single game. So I've already gotten hit up by the fan group down in Mexico. So last year they brought up over close to about 100 fans up to the tailgate for the Steelers game last year. They've already hit me up for the Titans game. We're going to have a huge tailgate. If you want some information about this in particular tailgate, everyone is welcome to come. The tailgate is going to be there in Lot C. But just come and message me. I can give you more details about it. But we're going to be bringing up more people down up from Mexico. I think I might have a band, not necessarily a band, but like a rap group coming up and performing at the tailgate as well. So it is going to be a huge tailgate. I'm super excited. If you want to know who they are, it's my cousin. His name is 6 Cents. And then he also is with this other guy. His name is D.A. Dub. They do this song, United in Orange. If you go and watch that United in Orange on YouTube, I'm in the video. I don't have my mask on. This is prior to me actually putting on my mask full time. But they asked me to be in the video there. That's within the first minute or so that you'll be able to see it. But that song hits hard. It's like an anthem for the Broncos itself. Again, United in Orange, perfect song. Bring it in. We might have to even see if we can get that on and put it on our show itself. Like, I think one of the other guys uses part of the video. Not that in particular, but I think that is more of the Mad Fanatic they use. But if we can get him on and get that part on, that'd be freaking awesome. But tailgate wise, come and see me. Send me a message, and we'll definitely have a good time.
Yeah, the Mad Fanatic Still Riding video. I love that song. Bro. I listen to that every day on my way to work. Just for the simple fact the music video is great, the lyrics are great. Mad Fanatic, awesome. He also gave me a shout out on Johnny's show, and I think he's still shell shocked that there's a really tall Mexican walking around in the United States.
Right.
But I just wanted to kind of go back and finish my thought. Sarah, you said that your son was a big Broncos fan, but unfortunately he passed away. I'm so sorry to hear that. And you mentioned about getting a tattoo. So, and Libre, you showed your tattoo, and I don't know if I've ever said this here on the air, but I am terrified of needles. Like, they scare the hell out of me. When I have to go and get a shot, like, I literally have to kind of urge the nurse to hurry the hell up and kind of talk myself through it mentally and just say, yeah, this is what I need, this is what I need, this is what I need.
So I'm just picturing, like, when you say that you're afraid of the needles, I just see this little girl, this viral video of this little girl is at the doctor office and they're trying to do it. And she's just like screaming and screaming, trying to like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. But then eventually she does, once she gets the needle, that she makes that thing. It's like, oh, like, you know, that's kind of what I like. My vision of you in the doctor's office is that little girl when you're like, like, she's just freaking out. If I find that video, I'll send it to you. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
The nurses always make fun of me. Like, I can hear them laughing while they're giving me the shot. I'm like, please just hurry the hell up. Stop torturing me.
That's funny.
But I remember I went with my friend. He went to go get a tattoo because unfortunately his mother had just passed away not too long before that happened. So he was like, hey man, like, can you come with me? And if I get a tattoo, like, you know, can you get one with me? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, I'll think about it, you know? And so he went in first and he wanted to get like a quote on his chest. So I'm standing there, I'm watching him, and the tattoo artist is getting ready to tattoo him. And he gives him a pencil and he's like, here, just bite on this. If you get hurt, if it hurts, just bite on it, you'll be fine. And he's like, okay. As soon as that needle touched his pec, he just bit that pencil into 3 pieces, and I just walked out. I'm like, nope, I'm good. And he just went like, ah, ah. That's all I heard for like 30, 40 minutes. And then he came out when he was done, and he's like, hey man, like, what happened? I thought you were gonna go next. I'm like, are you fucking nuts? I'm not kidding in that thing. I'm gonna punch that guy. I'm like, no man, I'm good. Let's just go. Like, I can't do that, bro. Like, no. Don't get me wrong. I love tattoos on other people. I think they're great, you know, especially when somebody gets a tattoo that's meaningful to them and not just like gibberish. But for me, you know, maybe one day they'll make tattoos where you just slap them on, like the temporary ones, except they're not temporary. They're just there forever, you know. But that's my tattoo story.
Crazy. So another thing that I want to bring up as well, with the what the NFL approved as well this week, is allowing NFL players to play in the Olympics with flag football in 2028 there in Los Angeles. What are your thoughts on it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry. Somebody was talking through the door.
No worries. So the NFL just approved NFL players to play in the Olympics for flag football for this upcoming Olympics there in LA. You know, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What do you think that comes out of it?
You know, my friend Eric, my best friend who was on the show a couple weeks ago, great episode, by the way. You guys go check it out. Was brought up a very good point in our group chat when I think my brother shared that story when it broke, and he basically said that that the only thing that's going to suck about that is that an NFL player is going to take a spot from somebody that more than likely deserves to be there, you know, just for the simple fact that, you know, because of their name, because of their fame, not so much because of the money. And I wholeheartly agree with that point. So I'm going to reiterate my friend Eric's point. That's my only issue with it. That I don't know like any famous flag football players, but I'm pretty sure if the game is going to be an Olympic sport, that they're going to want to get the best of the best. Unfortunately, I don't put NFL players in the same category as flag, because in flag, as you know, all you got to do is reach for their flag and the play is over. And the NFL, you have to tackle somebody to the freaking ground for the play to be over. So it's two very different things. I know they do kind of like in the Pro Bowl, they do like the Pro Bowl games and they do like a flag football thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, NFL players, if you hype them and rile them long enough, they will get hyped and they will actually play like the pros that they are. So I think that they would be a bit of a disadvantage in that sense. But hey, I mean,
so PS2 has already expressed interest in playing in that game in the Olympics itself. Why not have him have 2 Super Bowls and a gold medal by that time? I'm all about it. But there is going to have to be definitely clauses into these guys' contracts when they go out there, because what happens if he goes out there, tears his Achilles, tears an ACL? That's always going to be the what ifs of having these professional athletes being out there and doing that, especially coming from an NFL team. Do you want your star to be that way? I have mixed emotions on it. Just like how you were just saying, and how Eric brought that up about you're going to be possibly taking a spot that from someone that could potentially be there instead of these NFL players. Yeah, I could see that. But again, how many is it going to be? I think when they said that with the team itself can only be about 10 people initially. But again, that can change between now and then. But I think that's the initial rule, is that they're going to have 10 players per team, per country or whatever. So is it going to be all NFL players? Is it going to be, how many do they have to go out there and compete to be on this team? Like, that's another scenario. Is it going to be like the NBA going into the Olympics, where we're just that super team? So it's something to think about, something new. I think the guys do like playing flag football, especially because it's been in part of the Pro Bowl the last several years itself. So they're very familiar with all the rules and whatnot. So I think that that's something that's going to be fun to watch. You're going to be out there watching flag football. Like, do you want to watch somebody that's a no-name? Or do you want to go out there and say, oh, look, there's PS2 out there playing. There's they already talked about Travis Hunter being there as well. So you want to watch these flag football games with people that you know and you're familiar with as well.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing.
Yes, you are.
I'm laughing at this comment. What
was a happening? Long dogs. You know what? That is so funny from Pretty in Pink. What
the hell is Long Duck Style?
Have you ever seen the movie Pretty in Pink?
I don't think so. No.
Long Dong. It's like you have to understand that movie itself in order to, I guess, to get the reference itself. But yeah, no, that's funny as hell.
Oh, that is funny. And Caleb, I'm not going to highlight your comment just for the simple fact that I think you're only doing it for attention. But I could be wrong. But let me just say that if that's what you actually believe, that the Broncos are going to be a bad team for another 10 years, I'm guessing you're a Chiefs fan, you really, really need to take a better look at what's going on in the league, man. Because again, we're right behind you guys. The Broncos are right behind the Chiefs. The Chargers, you can say, are right behind the Chiefs. The Raiders are probably the only. Yeah, the Raiders are probably the only team you're better than. But then again, they did beat you guys on Christmas Day 2 years ago. So I know everybody's still riding the Patrick Mahomes train, and every Chiefs fan thinks he's the greatest, like the GOAT or whatever. Hey, that's on you guys. Good for you. Some of us still believe that John Elway is the greatest football player of all time. But, the time will tell.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Schaefer is agreeing with you, Libre. And Kodiak Broncos podcast, Mahai salute to you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Saying, I can't wait to see the teams the other countries are trotting out against NFL dudes. LOL.
Yeah.
But no, guys, just, I mean, it's gonna be okay, I guess you can say. We're gonna be all right. I honestly don't know. I don't know how to exactly, aside from that point I made, I don't know how to feel about the whole flag football thing. Hopefully it works out. I know the NFL is kind of trying to steer people that way because they did start like their own flag football partnership thing ish. Last year, 2 years ago?
It's been about 2-3 years that they've had the initiative with the flag football itself. They have, especially with the Broncos themselves, it's huge in Mexico. That's another place where they have spent a lot of resources down in Mexico for the flag football initiative. You can just check their social media itself. If you haven't seen it, it's huge. And that's part of one of the things that I've done as well is I started this fan group here in Denver with the Broncos to help get this started for the Latino community itself, to help watch parties and do all that so that they can set that up. And anything that I do raise, any type of money that I do raise through that organization itself, I'm going to be putting it back to local rec centers here that offer flag football for any families that are unable to actually pay for the registration fees, because sometimes there's families that can't pay for the registration fees itself and they want to have their kids in some type of recreational sports. Mine is going to be focused more on the flag football. If the recreational center does offer a tackle football, I'm going to be offering it towards that as well. And then also the other organization that I work for as well, that for the last 15 years, is Dash for Smiles, kids that are born with cleft lip and palate. So that's another initiative that we've been working on here, just helping set up with the local community here in Denver as well. So
yeah, I have a cousin that was born with that.
Oh,
and she got the corrective surgery.
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird because only her brother and her sister could actually understand everything she said.
And that's part of it as well. It's like, so the money that we have raised, because we've raised over $160,000 for here in the community, it helps go to speech therapy, because a lot of the kids, they don't have the normal palate to help actually speak properly. So they go through speech therapy, especially when they're babies. They need special bottles in order to drink and feed because of that. But yeah, it's been so great. If you guys have any questions about that, or if you're wanting to donate, please hit me up. Also, you can go to our website for Dash for Smiles. It's called dashforsmiles.org. You can donate there. It's a great organization. Again, this is our 15th year doing it. We always do what we call as a 5K in July. We have everything set up, but this is going to be the last year that we actually do the 5K itself because of the amount of work that we put into it. But everything, we're still going to go and do fundraisers throughout the year to keep the organization going because of how passionate we are about it. And it's because one of our friends, her son was born with cleft lip in the palate. So that's part of why we started it.
Yeah. Shout out to my cousin Jenny out in Aurora. Hi, prima.
Prima in Aurora. And is that Aurora, Illinois or Aurora, Colorado?
Aurora, Illinois, my friend.
Híjole.
I don't know anybody in Aurora, Colorado. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our overtime segment today. And that is going to do it for our show today. Unfortunately, we will not be going as long as we did last week, just for the simple fact that Libre is starving.
So just a little bit.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are just going to close this show out by asking you to please show your support for us here on the Orange and Blue Network. Subscribe, share, comment, and like on this show, all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network. Leave your comments if there's anything that we missed that you would still like to hear from us. Please, please, please let us know what it is that you want us to know and answer for you. Also, to our sister station, MHRT Network, subscribe, share, comment, and like on this video there and all their videos as well. Same thing goes for those watching us through MHRT Network. Once again, shout out to all of our audio listeners listening to us after the fact. Please make sure you give us a 5-star review. You can screenshot and send it to us, and we will gladly give you a shout out here on the show or on our socials on Twitter. You can hit us up at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is Bronco Libre 5280. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. I know I don't say this a lot enough, especially on the Spotify listeners. If you like to be a monthly, donate to the show, donations are always welcome. If you're listening to us through Spotify, there should be a link there where you click on for the podcast through Spotify if you want to be a monthly donator, like my friend Chris Hernandez was. Shout out to Chris. I know he listens to the show. And I promise you one day we will have you on with us live. And as we always like to say, please continue to support any and all forms of Broncos media, content creation, articles, all that good stuff. Let Broncos Country know, that you guys are in tune, and make sure that you share it so that other Broncos fans are also in tune. Shout out to everybody in our chat. Hawaiian King, Sarah Smiles.
Sarah Smiles, much love to you.
You dominated the chat today, my friend.
Yes.
And I'm trying to scroll up here on Libre.
The Hawaiian King.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then there were a couple of haters. Denver Sports Call. Thank you. Who else do we have in here? I think Jackson 55. And Archie asking how Libre's doing. Libre's good.
Doing good.
And everybody else that was here in the chat that supported us. Thank you guys so much. Sorry we can't go around thanking you individually. And finally, thanks to our sponsor, which is Dubby. If you use the code NRWOB10, you get 10% off at checkout. Thanks to Dubby and the guys over at Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue for the hookup. Again, that code is NRWOB10. Get 10% off at checkout on your final Dubby orders. And again, Viva Los Broncos will be on the air this Friday at 7 o'clock Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. It is an all Spanish podcast, so feel free to come out and show your support if you like. Otherwise, you can tell your friends that are Spanish speakers to come check us out and hang out with us for a little bit and talk Broncos. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Broncos Talk on the Orange and Blue and MHRT networks. He is Bronco Libre. I'm Adan Diaz, and we are out of here. And as we always say around here, go Broncos!
Go Broncos! Let's go!